Welcome to this PhoneLink sales presentation. This presentation will predominantly cover the features and functions that you get in the PhoneLink software. So to begin with, we'll start with a brief explanation of what PhoneLink is. It is a multi-platform computer telephony integration product. And it's designed to help your end customers make optimal use of their Ericsson LG telephone system. Some of the ways that we achieve this are by giving the users full control of their handset from within their computer. And the other sort of big differentiating feature that we have is the ability to integrate with a wide range of CRMs and various other applications. PhoneLink software is compatible with the IPEX LDK, the UCP, and the EMG80 PBXs. Some of the advantages or some of the benefits of the PhoneLink software is that it will allow the user to know who is calling them even before they've answered the call. It will also give them quick access to the caller's full details and will generally allow them to improve the call handling and the whole call experience for your customers. It will also help you find contacts quickly by using things like the recently dialed and call history lists. And it also gives you the ability to store regularly used contacts in a shared address book. As I've previously touched upon, PhoneLink software also gives you the ability to locate and dial contacts from within CRMs and other integrated applications. And finally, there are some features which I'll talk about later on in the presentation which will help improve collaboration between various PhoneLink users. So with regards to the product architecture, you will have your Ericsson LG PBX and you will have your normal connection to the handsets. Then there is then also a connection from the PBX to a dedicated PC which is running the PhoneLink server software, and the connection is actually TAPI over IP. From the PhoneLink server, there are then multiple connections to each of the PhoneLink clients that are installed on the user's PCs, and that's just a normal IP LAN type connection. So I'm just going to focus on the PC client for a moment. We actually have three license types called Standard, Standard Plus, and CRM. The standard license provides you with various features like call control, a presence window, address book, instant messaging or chat capability, and also the ability to click to dial as well. The Standard Plus license has everything that the standard license has, but also offers integration to Outlook, Lotus Notes, and Google Contacts. And the final category is the CRM. This is the highest license category that we have, and basically provides all of the functionality of the previous two license types, but will also have the ability to support integration to the full range of CRMs and applications that we have available. So what I'm now going to do is, rather than continue going through the presentation, I'm actually going to show you the features and functions on a live system. So sometimes it makes it a lot easier to understand what's going on. So I've just run the PhoneLink client, and while that's loading, I'll explain what you're seeing on your screen. So basically it's a virtual machine, and on that machine I have installed not only the PhoneLink client but also the PhoneLink server software as well. And what I've done is I've put the phone link server into what's called a demonstration mode. So instead of being connected to a live PBX, it's actually connected to a simulated PBX. And basically it's just done purely for convenience. So, PhoneLink client has started the program, and you can probably see in the bottom right-hand corner here, I've now got a little green square. So that is confirming for me that the PhoneLink client is running. And the fact that it is green is also telling me that A, the phone is on hook, and that it's established a connection to the PhoneLink server. Now this little system tray icon also has the ability to act as a busy lamp field or a busy light field, BLF. So green is saying that the phone is on hook. Flashing red is telling you that the handset is ringing. Solid red means that you're on a call. Flashing yellow means that the call is on hold. And there are a couple of other colours and symbols which are used to denote whether calls to that particular handset are forwarded or if the handset is put on to Do Not Disturb. So what I'm now going to do is a right click on the system tray icon, and this brings up what we call the system tray menu, and it's from here that you can access all of the features and functions within the PhoneLink software. So the first thing, or the first area that I'm going to draw your attention to, is this area down the bottom here where it says enter text or a number here to search. So what I'm going to do is just put in a phone number. And because I'm connected to the server which is running in the demonstration mode, if I prefix the number with a star, it tells the software to simulate an incoming call. So what you'll see in a moment is what PhoneLink does when a call comes in. So I'm going to press the enter key, and you can see what's happened is this window has appeared. We call it the preview window, and as you can see across the top there, it's telling us that there's an incoming call. It's displaying the phone number of the caller, and based on what the dialing code is, it's also identified that it's a Peterborough number. And down the bottom here, we have the call control capabilities, so I can either answer the call or I can deflect the call to a different extension. The last thing is I've got a symbol over here, and with this particular phone number, it's one that isn't known. So it doesn't appear in the PhoneLink address book, and it doesn't appear in any CRMs or applications that the PhoneLink software is connected to. So you have this little icon here, which, if you click on it, will allow you to add this phone number to the shared address book that is on the PhoneLink software. So I'm going to answer the call, and you can see across the top it's now telling us that the call is connected, and you can see down the bottom here that the icons have changed, so I can now hang up, or I can put the call on hold, and you can see here the icon has changed so that it's yellow in color, and you can see that the system tray icon is now flashing yellow to also tell us that we have a call on hold. So I'm going to go back, and we then have two types of transfer. One is what's called a consult transfer, and if I click on that, what will happen is this call will be put on hold while I make a call to another person. So if I do that, I'm going to say dial extension 301. So I'm now calling one of my colleagues in the company, And you can see I've still got the original call which is on hold here, and if I click on the bar at the top, I can go back to there, I click on the top again, go back to my colleague Andrew. Once I've had that discussion with Andrew, I can then either click the green icon to complete the call, which means that I will disconnect and the incoming call will then be connected to Andrew, or I can hang up on Andrew and go back to the original call. The other type of transfer is just a blind transfer. So if I just want to merely transfer the call to somebody else, click on that icon and enter their extension number. You'll notice that when you have the call on hold and you're talking to somebody else, the preview windows were stacked. Those of you who are familiar with version 2 of the PhoneLink software will know that the windows used to stand on top of one another. So in version 3 we've changed that so that they stack. The main reason for doing that is so that it doesn't clutter up the screen so much. The other thing that you've probably just noticed is the preview window has now disappeared. That is actually something that's done by design, again, so that we're not cluttering up the user screen with our particular windows. If I want to bring the preview window back, all I have to do is take my mouse and rest it over the system tray icon, and the preview window will reappear. So I'm now going to hang up that call, and I'm now going to make another incoming call, but this time what I'm going to do is make a call, and as you can probably already see, as I've been typing in the number, what the PhoneLink software is doing is searching through the shared address book and the CRMs and the applications that I'm connected to. So in my case, I'm connected to Google Contacts and also to Salesforce. And as I'm entering the number, if it finds a match, it displays that information in the search results area here. Now if I wanted to, I could click on one of these entries to dial the number directly, but for now all I'm going to do is press the enter key. So we've now got an incoming call, but this time, because there's been matches found in Google Contacts and Salesforce, the preview window is actually displaying slightly more information. So I've still got the phone number, but it's now displaying the contact name and the company that's associated with that particular phone number. So again, I still have the ability to answer or deflect, but I've now got two different icons here. So one icon is denoting that this number has found a match in Google Contacts, and if I click on that icon, what it will do is it will open up Google Contacts in a new tab for me, and it will display the contact information on the screen. So this is what we call contact popping or screen popping. Similarly, if I click on the Salesforce icon, the same thing will happen. It will open the browser and take me to the contact record for that particular person who's calling. The final comment that I will make about the preview screen is you can see at the moment, whenever it appears, it's located in the top right-hand corner. What you can do is you can move the preview screen to any one of the four corners, and wherever you leave the preview window, the next time you have an incoming call or you make a call, the preview window will remain in the last position that you placed it in. So I'm going to hang up the call. Just very, very quickly going to show you what an outgoing call looks like. And basically, very much the same, except for now it's confirming that it's an outgoing call. And again, phone numbers displayed, any information that can be found as a result of searching through CRMs and applications is displayed. And then again at the bottom, all of the call control capabilities. So that's the preview window. So I'm going to go back to the system tray menu. And what I'm going to do, we've got various tabs down the side here. And each tab has got access to various features and functions. And what I'm going to do is go through all of these and show you what those capabilities are. So the first one is the phone window. The phone window is very, very similar to the preview window. Because it's physically larger, it is actually possible to display a little bit more information in the phone window. And the other big difference between the phone window and the preview window is the phone window stays permanently on the screen. So if I make a call, you can see here again similar information has been displayed, and it's confirmation that this phone number has got a match in Google Contacts and in Salesforce. You also notice that the preview window has also appeared. Now if you have an end customer who prefers to use the phone window, it is actually possible within the PhoneLink client to turn the preview window off. So basically, you can adjust how the PhoneLink works for your own particular customer's preferences. So there's making a call. There's also the ability to pick up a call from another extension as well. So that's the phone window. Next, we're going to look at the presence window. And this basically will show you all of the other PhoneLink users that are on the system. And as you can see, you've got the names, the extension numbers, and then down the left-hand side here, you've got the busy lamp field again. You've also probably noticed as I rest the mouse over a particular entry, this little side panel pops out, and it gives me the option of calling, in this case, Bella. Alternatively, I can start a chat message with her. And the final thing that I can do is click on the magnifying glass, and that will show me more information about that particular user. So in this case, I've actually got Bella's email address here. So if I click on that, what will happen is my default mail client will open so that I can then send an email to Bella. The other thing that I can do is I can look at Bella's call history, which, as you can see, is not very exciting. By default, in the PhoneLink software, any user can see any other user's call history. It is possible to disable that ability on a user-by-user basis. So if you have, for example, senior managers within your customers who don't want everybody in the company to know who they're calling, that feature can be disabled. So that's that. Down the right-hand side, we've got the availability status, and the tick is basically indicating that at the moment everybody is saying that they are available. So the next area in the presence window that we're going to look at is this little drop-down menu here. And this allows you to control how the information in the presence window is displayed. So the view menu is currently set so that I'm looking at users. Alternatively, I can change and I can look at who's on the system, but from a phone extension number perspective. I'm just going to go switch back to users. The other option that I've got is customized. So if you have a customer with a very large number of users, people in one particular department may only be interested in seeing the presence information for their colleagues in their particular department. So what you can do is you can click on the Add button, and then I'm going to say Users, and if I leave the text blank and then click Search, what's happened is all of the users on the system have been returned in the search results, and I can then just tick the boxes for the people that I'm specifically interested in. So when I say Add, they now appear in the presence window. If I want to remove a particular person, just click on their entry, click the X button, and they're then removed. So I'm just going to go back to the user view. The other two options allow you to control how the users are grouped. So as you can see, I've got them grouped by department, but there are various other options available. And you can also dictate how they're sorted, so by telephone extension, by name, etc., etc. The final option on there is something called the bottom panel. This relates to this area down here at the bottom of the preview window. So if I click on a particular user, what this means is that down here additional information will be displayed. So if, for example, Peter was on a call to somebody, I will be able to see who they're calling. Now again, this capability is turned on by default. If there are particular users that for whatever reason don't want that information to be publicly available, it can be disabled. Next, we're going to look at this area up here. So I can either type in a phone number and press enter, and the phone link software will dial that number for me. Alternatively, if I'm looking for a particular person in the presence list, and it's a very, very long list, if I start typing their name, what will happen is the presence window will automatically start filtering. So it's a way to allow a user to quickly find another user on the system and then do whatever they want to do. Next, we've got the big tick up here. This is where you control what your availability status is. And if you click on that entry, you can change your availability to one of a number of different states. And if you want to, you can also add some text. So if I change myself to being in a meeting and then put in here with a customer, I can also control how long that message will be displayed. And these final two options down here allow me to automatically forward all of my calls to another extension and turn on or turn off the Do Not Disturb capability. So I'm just going to press enter, and then if I click on myself, you can see at the bottom here I've got with a customer, and the time is set for 3:45, and there's a little suitcase icon in the side there so that anybody that looks at myself in the preview window will know that I'm in a meeting. So what I'm going to do is just undo what I've done there, and change my availability back to normal. The final two things that I'm going to mention about the presence window. At the moment, my icon or moniker is simply set to my initials. If I click on it, I have the option of replacing my initials with an image. And I can either load it up from a file, and this will either be something like a JPEG or a PNG file. I can load something from the clipboard, or I could actually capture an image from the webcam. Once you've got the image, it will appear in here. You can then position it so that what you want of the image is displayed correctly, and then when you say save, it will then be updated. So whenever somebody looks at your entry in the preview window, it will now, instead of having your initials, it will have the selected image instead. The last thing is presence window docking. So if I go back to my browser for a moment, if I maximize it, it does what Windows normally does, and that's take up the entire screen. You may have some users that always want to be able to see the presence window. If that's the case, what they need to do is adjust the preview window to the width that they want, and then when they click on the maximize button, it will dock itself to the side of the screen. So when I now maximize my browser, you can see browser's filled the screen, but the presence window is still available. This docking capability, the presence window will basically dock to whichever edge it's closest to. So if I move the presence window to this side of the screen and say maximize, docks to the left. Move it over to the right hand side of the screen, docks to the right. So that's the presence window. The next feature that I'm going to talk about is the chat capability, and I'm actually going to access it by hovering the mouse over one of the other users, and I'm going to click on the chat icon. Now what this does is it opens up the chat window, and the PhoneLink system has actually remembered a previous conversation that I've had with Peter. And in order for me to send a chat message to him, all I need to do is start typing and then click the send button. And what will happen is, if Peter is running PhoneLink on his machine, it will get a little pop-up notification to tell him that he's got a message. The other thing that the chat window will do is it will recognize web addresses. So if I type something like that in, for example, it will actually turn it into a clickable link. So that's the chat capability. The final thing that I forgot to mention on the presence window, you can see that my name appears in bold. So that is basically telling you that not only is my extension valid, but I'm actually also running the PhoneLink client at this moment in time. You can also access the chat capability by clicking on messaging. And what this will do is it will show you all of the people that PhoneLink has got a record of you having conversations with. And if you want to pick up on a conversation, just click on the contact and the chat window appears there once again. The next entry is the address book. And this is one of the other ways of searching for a particular contact. So what I can do is, in the search box, I can either type a person's name, a company name, or a telephone number, and as I start typing, the address book will start searching and filtering the results for me. So if I type in my name and click go, you can see it's searched and it's telling me that it's found a match in Google Contacts and in Salesforce. And I can then either click on the name to pop the contact details, or I can click on one of the phone numbers and PhoneLink will automatically dial them for me. And in both cases here, I've also got an email address, so if I clicked on that, it would open up the new email window on your default mail client. Now I've obviously only got here a very small number of results. If you get a very large number of results, what you can actually do is click on this little down arrow, and you can be more specific with your filtering criteria. And then finally, on this last entry here, you can select where you want the address book to search. So is it the PhoneLink address book, shared address book, or is it Salesforce, or is it Google? The final thing about the address book is you've also got this link here which says new contact. So if you click on that, it will allow you to add a contact to the PhoneLink shared address book, so you can fill in the information there. Next, we're going to look at the call history. And this is the call history for the particular user, or for the specific user. So you can see there's quite a few entries in here. And if you have the standard license, it will show up to a maximum of 50, or the last 50 calls, either made or received or missed calls. If you have the Standard Plus or the CRM license, it will actually show all of the call history that the PhoneLink server has stored. And in order to sort of go past the first 50, you've got this page button down here. So I can go to page 2. And in this case, there's nothing to display because there's less than 50 calls. The other thing that you can also do is you can filter this call history list. So I can look for inbound calls that were answered from external calls. The other thing that you've also probably noticed here is, again, as with the presence window, if you hover the mouse over a particular entry, the side panel pops out. So I can dial this number by either clicking on the number here or the green icon. I can see more details about the specific call by clicking on the magnifying glass, or I can pop the contact details by clicking on either, in this case, the Google Contacts or the Salesforce icon. If you have a phone number which isn't in any of the address books that PhoneLink has access to, you then have the Add Contact icon, and when you click on that, bring up the Add Contact window, and it will automatically fill in the phone number and the town for you. So that's the call history window. The last entry on the Home tab is the configuration, and this is where you set up the features and the functions within the PhoneLink client. Now I'm not planning to go into this particular window in any great detail, there is a separate presentation that we have which goes into how you set up the PhoneLink client. The only thing that I would mention is it's here on the integration area where you install and configure connections to the various CRMs and applications that PhoneLink supports. So the next tab down the side is the question mark, and that gives you access to the online help. So by default, when you click on there, it will show for you all of the help options, but you have the ability to filter the help items by typing in text at the bottom. So if I type in dialing, for example, it will filter down the list. I can then click on that and it will open up the online help and show you the dialing settings information. The next entry, the next tab, is called Recent Calls. This is very similar to the call history, but all this does is it shows you up to a maximum of the 10 last calls that you've either made, received, or missed calls on your particular extension. And in the same way with preview window, the presence window and the call history window, if you leave your mouse over a particular entry, the side panel will pop out and it will give you various options. So you can again pop the contact details, or you can dial a particular contact's phone number. If what you're looking for doesn't appear in the recent calls list, you just click on the link at the bottom and it will open up the call history window for you, so you can search back further in time. The next entry is the features entry, and this is another area where you can automatically forward all of your calls to another extension, and you can turn the Do Not Disturb capability off and on. Final icon here, or the last but one icon I should say, is the availability icon. And this again is another way to allow you to manually set what your availability is at this moment in time. So you've got the option of either doing it here or doing it in the presence window. Final option down the side here allows you to close the PhoneLink software, to exit from it. So what I'm now going to do is go back to the presentation. We've talked about click to dial, and we've specifically mentioned that there are various boxes where you can just simply type in a number, press enter, and it will dial for you. Another way of doing click to dial is through the recent calls or the call history. But as you can see, there are a few other options that are still also available to you. So what I'm now going to do is show you how to do clipboard dialing and web page dialing. So clipboard dialing is a capability that you can optionally turn off and on. But basically, if you put in a phone number, if you then copy that number into the clipboard, what happens is you get this little message pop up which has come from PhoneLink, and basically it's telling you that it believes it's seen in the clipboard what it thinks is a phone number, and if you want to dial that particular number, all you have to do is to click on this pop-up and it will dial the number for you. So I'm just going to hang up on that now. The other click-to-dial capability that we've got is through the web browser. So I go back to the browser. What I'm actually going to do is go to Yellow Pages. So again, this is an option that you need to turn on within the PhoneLink software. And when it is turned on, or when the capability is installed, you'll have an extension appear on the extensions bar of your browser. So at the moment, it's actually telling me that the click-to-dial capability is disabled. So what I'm going to do is turn it on. And if I then go to a particular entry, you can see here the phone number has got a little phone icon next to it. So basically, PhoneLink has searched through this particular web page and it's found what it believes is a phone number, and it's turned it into a link, and when I click on it, it will automatically dial the number for me. Now sometimes you'll have end users who want to use that feature sometimes, other times they want it turned off. So all you have to do is click on the icon, and you can see now the capability is turned off. And if I click on it again, it turns back on. So that is web page dialing. I'm using Google Chrome here. This capability is also supported in Internet Explorer, in the Mozilla Firefox, and also the Opera browsers as well. So hopefully most of the popular browsers that are in use today. So I'm now going to go back to the presentation, and I'm now going to look at in-application dialing and focus dialing. So in-application dialing is where you tell PhoneLink that there are specific fields in your application that contain dialable phone numbers. And once it's set up, what you will get is a little icon here next to the field, and if you click on that icon, PhoneLink will automatically dial that number for you. Now the advantage of in-application dialing is that you can explicitly label which fields you want to have the click-to-dial capability. The disadvantage is you have to manually set this up yourselves beforehand. The other option is to have what's called focus dialing. And when focus dialing is turned on, whichever field in your application you're clicked on, PhoneLink will look in that field, and if it sees what it thinks is a dialable phone number, it will put a little icon next to that field, and then you either click on the icon and it will dial the number, or in this particular example, it's actually found what it thinks are two possible telephone numbers. So it's actually giving you the option of selecting the correct one. Now, all of these features are controlled and set up from the same area in the configuration of the PhoneLink software. So if I go to dialing, you see here, this is where you turn the clipboard dialing off and on. This is where you turn the focus dialing off and on. Here is your application dialing, and this window down here is where you go through the steps to select the particular field. To understand the ins and outs of how that's done in more detail, I would refer you to the help file. You've also got this button here that says dialing handlers, and this is where you enable the click-to-dial capability for Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, and Opera. And again, before you click those buttons, I would strongly suggest that you read the help file first, because there are a few steps that you need to go through. There are some other click-to-dial capabilities here. One is a very, very basic TAPI driver. So some applications have the ability to issue a TAPI dial command. And if you enable this capability, what will happen is a phone link will intercept that TAPI dial command and will route it to the PBX for you. TAPI request handler is where you've got a program that's got some more detailed TAPI capabilities in there, and to sort of fully understand and appreciate that the differences, again, I would refer you to the help file. The last thing is something called call to. It's quite popular with software programmers, and what they will do is they will add an invisible tag called call to certain fields, and if the phone link finds a call to tag, it knows that that particular field has a dialable phone number, and again will turn on the click to dial capability. The final entry here is for enabling the Skype for Business integration, which is what I will be talking about next. So, Skype for Business. When you turn this capability on, what will happen is when you right-click on a particular contact, you will get all of the normal menu options in Skype for Business, but there'll be an extra entry included which says call using desk phone. So if a particular contact in Skype has got dialable phone numbers included in their contact information, when you click on here, if there's only one dialable number, PhoneLink will dial it automatically for you. But again, in this case, PhoneLink has found two dialable numbers, so it gives you the option of selecting the one that you want. What it means is that you can, within the Skype for Business environment, actually call somebody using the desk phone rather than using Skype. The other thing that the integration does is it allows Skype and PhoneLink to share status and availability information. So this is an option that you need to turn on within the PhoneLink configuration. But once it's on, if you start a Skype call with somebody, not only will your status in Skype change to busy, but your status on the PhoneLink will change to busy as well, and the same will happen in reverse. So if you make a call with a handset, PhoneLink, you'll change to busy, and you'll also change to busy on Skype as well. Next, we're going to look at events and customization. This is the ability to tailor PhoneLink so that it can hopefully operate in a slightly more user-desirable fashion. So what I'm going to do is go back to my virtual machine again, because it's actually easier to show you this through the client. So the first area up here controls what happens when the phone is ringing, when the phone is answered, or when you make an outbound call. So at the moment it's set to no action, but if you take this top one here on ringing, what I could do is have PhoneLink automatically display the phone window, the presence window, or if there's a match in one of the in the address book, get PhoneLink to automatically pop the contact for me. And you have those same options available for on answer and on outbound calls as well. So just a little way to sort of tailor and customize what PhoneLink does in those three particular scenarios. The next section controls or allows you to play particular sounds when you receive a new message, when the phone rings, or when you have a call waiting. And basically all you will do is you'll click on the button with the three dots, navigate to where the sound file is located, and it needs to be a WAV file or a MIDI file, and then when those particular events occur, the sound file will be played. This option here is sometimes you'll have users that are playing music through their computer. Now obviously what you don't want while having a phone conversation with somebody is to have the music in the background. So if you tick that particular box, what will happen is when a call is in progress, all of the sounds from the PC are muted. The final area of the call events is quite a powerful feature. So if I click on the Add button, basically you can describe a certain scenario. So for example, if your phone is ringing, you can specify whether it's an inbound or an outbound call, and also if it's an internal or an external call. But when that condition is met, you can then run an external program and pass parameters to that program. And we've also got some preset variables. So this caller contact tell is the telephone number of the person that's calling you. Alternatively, if you leave this field blank, then PhoneLink is expecting to see in here a web address. So when these conditions are met, you can either run a program or you can open a web page. So what I'm going to do is show you what I do with my particular client. Just bear with me a moment while it starts up. So what I've got here, so my apologies, I've clicked the wrong button. What I've got here is when my phone is ringing and it's an inbound external call, what I'm actually doing is running an application from Microsoft called OneNote. And what it will do is it will run OneNote and it will open it up on a specific page. What this allows me to do is if somebody calls me, OneNote opens automatically, and it means that I then got a scratchpad area where I can type in any notes that I need while I'm having the telephone conversation. So that's the call events capability. Next, I'm going to talk about Active Directory. So if you have customers where they've got a large number of users, there is an optional additional license that you can purchase, which is called the Active Directory integration. And what it will allow you to do is to create PhoneLink users from information that's stored in the customer's Active Directory system. This is quite useful because it allows you to very, very quickly deploy a large number of users into PhoneLink when you first install it. And what happens is the information from the department name and any internal and external phone numbers as they're set up in the Active Directory get automatically populated into the PhoneLink user information. This integration, however, is bidirectional, so you can not only go from Active Directory to PhoneLink, but you can send the information back in the other direction as well, so from PhoneLink to Active Directory. Another integration that we have is something called the Microsoft Exchange Calendar integration. Again, this requires an additional license to turn this feature on. So if within the PhoneLink client you have the integration to Microsoft Outlook enabled, this means that you can not only change your availability status manually, but if you enable the feature, if you have an appointment in your Microsoft Outlook calendar, that can be used to automatically change your availability status. However, this is dependent on the user's PC being switched on. The PhoneLink client has to be running and it has to be connected to the PhoneLink server. So if you have a particular user that is sometimes in the office, sometimes out in the road, or is permanently out of the office, it can be difficult to ensure that their availability status is displayed correctly. So with this integration, if it's enabled, your availability information is, instead of being retrieved from the Microsoft Outlook client on the user's PC, the information is taken from the Microsoft Exchange server directly. So when you create an appointment in the calendar in Outlook, you've got various options, so free, busy, tentative, etc. And this is how they translate to the availability status within the PhoneLink software. Another integration that we have is something called the Busy Light integration. There's a company called Plenom, and they make this Busy Light product. You can probably just see in the picture here. It's a little lamp which is about 6 inches in height, and there's an LED on the top. That plugs into the USB port of your computer, and the driver will load automatically. And if PhoneLink finds the Plenom Busy Light, as your status changes, the light on top of the Busy Light will change as well. So if you have, for example, a sales office and everybody has a Busy Light, it will be very easy for the office manager to look across the office to see if a particular person is on the phone, or generally how busy is the sales area at this moment in time. The little table here basically shows you the colours that you get with the Busy Light and what they are signifying. So far I've only been concentrating on the PC client. We do also have a Mac client as well, so I'm just going to say a few words about that. The Mac client has very, very similar features to the PC client, so you've got the call control, presence window, the chat capability, the call history. Browser dialing is possible through the Safari browser, but only the Safari browser, and you've also got clipboard dialing as well. And with the PC version, there are 3 license types. With the Mac, there's only two. So there's only a Standard Plus and a CRM. The CRM version will give you, the CRM and the Standard Plus will give you integration into the Apple address book so that you can do things like caller preview. You can add contacts to the Apple address book and also click to dial. The CRM also has the ability to integrate with some CRMs and applications, although it should be noted that the list for the Mac client is not as extensive as it is for the PC client. If you want to see a full list of integrations that are available for both the PC and the Mac, please refer to the PhoneLink website. Now we do have another type of client. It's called the PhoneLink operator, and it's designed for use for people like people who are on a switchboard. And what it will do is the interface that you see on the screen is completely different to the normal PhoneLink client, and it's designed specifically to help switchboard operators handle and transfer calls. The other thing that the operator makes it a lot easier to do is to monitor other extensions, and it gives them also various what's called boss/secretary type features. So this is what the operator screen looks like. So in the top left hand corner here you have all of the current incoming calls that haven't been answered, and if your PBX is configured correctly, you can actually answer those calls out of sequence. You can have up to 2 answered calls, which are signified by these 2 boxes here. And if you have other calls that are on hold or are waiting to be transferred to another user, they will appear in this area here. So across the top you've got various tabs. So you've got the operator equivalent of the presence window. You've got access to the contacts, and this will show you not only contacts from the PhoneLink shared address book, but also contacts from any CRMs or applications that you're integrated with. It will show also the call history and also any messages that the operator has sent to people. In order to transfer a call, you can either just enter somebody's extension number in here, or alternatively you can start typing their name and then press enter. The other option is you can do a left click and hold on the call and drag it and then release on the particular person that you want to send the call to. Now the last tab is the auto tab, and on the left hand side of the screen, for any particular call that comes in, it will show the last few people that particular number has been transferred to. So hopefully if Chris Huffman calls in again, it will be one of these people that he wants to talk to, so it'd be very easy to very quickly transfer the call. The other thing that the PhoneLink operator has the ability to do is to automatically pop a script. And what will happen is it will look at the number that the external caller has dialed, and depending on what that number is, it will then display a message in the bottom left hand corner here. So if you have an end customer that's running a multi-tenant environment, what it means is each of the tenants can basically put or specify here how they want the switchboard operator to greet their particular callers. Now there are 2 versions of the phone link operator. One is called the standalone version. So if you have just one switchboard operator on a single site and there are no other phone link clients installed, then you can use the standalone version. And what will happen is the phone link server and the operator client will get installed onto the operator's PC. Now, because there's only one client, there's no chat messaging, and there's no multi-site capability because, again, we're restricted to a single site operation. It's specifically designed for customers that want a very basic, very simple operator-only environment. For customers that have more than one operator or that have multiple sites and or have other phone link clients installed, what you'll need to do is to use the phone link server version. And basically what will happen here is you'll have the phone link server on its own dedicated PC as per usual, and the operator client will just get installed onto the operator's PC. Now, because this is also a more traditional setup with multiple users, it means that the chat messaging and the multi-site operation is also available. Next, I'm going to talk about the CRM and application integration types. I'm just going to touch upon a little bit of information here. So the CRM version of phone link software supports a very wide range of various different CRMs and applications. All you need to do to see the full list is go to the phone link website and look under the integration tab. As I previously mentioned, integrations are available for both the PC and the Mac, but the list of what is available is different between the two types of machines. We, loosely speaking, have two types of integration, two classifications. One is called standard and the other is called controlled. For those of you that have been selling phone link for a little while, you'll probably remember that we used to have threes, which are standard, partner and other. That's now changed. We've reduced it down to two. So a standard integration is an integration where it supports all of the basic features that we like to have. So the ability to work with the caller preview screen, the ability to do screen or contact popping, support address book searching, and also click to dial. Now, there are a very small number of these integrations that will also support activity logging. And as time goes by, we are looking to increase the number of integrations that has that facility. The other characteristic of a standard integration is that they are fairly easy to install and configure, so much so that we're quite happy for either yourselves as resellers or even the end customer to do this themselves. But we do, however, provide an add-in guide which basically will give you more information and help for setting up a standard integration. Controlled integrations are integrations that we have created, but they've been done as the result of a specific customer request. And when you go into the phone link client, I'm just going to show you this now. If I say add new, you've got a drop-down menu here, and you'll see there's a whole list of CRMs and applications. Now, all of these ones in this drop-down list are standard integrations. The very last entry says other, and what you'll need to do, or what will need to be done, is a code will need to be entered in order to unlock the remainder of the integrations, or specifically the controlled integrations. So that's what this comment is basically talking about. Now the reason that we do that is that for controlled integrations, we insist that one of our engineers installs and configures those integrations, and you should also bear in mind that this is a chargeable service. The other thing that makes a controlled integration different from a standard integration is that the integration features that are available will vary from CRM to CRM. So we normally like to have the preview window, address book searching, click to dial and contact popping. Some CRMs we can't get all of those features available. The other thing is in order to get a controlled integration to work, we rely on the particular CRM vendor giving us various bits and pieces of information. Now, if the CRM vendor changes how that information is provided, or if they no longer make it available as they produce future versions of the software, it will mean that that controlled integration will no longer become available. Controlled integrations will always require a CRM license, and for various CRM licenses, controlled ones, there's more information on the PhoneLink website. So what I'm going to do is go to the PhoneLink website. So down the side here I've got integrations, and if I put in Outlook, which I know is a standard integration, you can see here we're listing all of the different versions that we support. If I click on the latest version, you can see that it's a standard integration. In this particular case, you only need a Standard Plus license in order for it to work. We've then got some information, or more information, about the application, the features that you would expect to see, some notes, and then the references at the bottom here. And in the case of Outlook, we've actually got a video showing you this particular integration in action. If I go back up here and type in Bond, this, you can see, is a controlled application, requires a CRM license, and you can see here again telling you what features and functions you should expect to see. And there's also this comment in here as well: a mandatory remote installation is required, i.e. one of our engineers needs to install and configure this particular integration. If, having looked on the website, you cannot find a particular CRM or an application that your end customer uses, you can formally ask us to investigate whether or not it would be possible to add that CRM to the list of integrations. So we have a process called Application Integration Request Process, AIRP. And probably the best thing I can suggest is, when you come up against that particular situation, speak to your Pragma account manager, and they will be able to help guide you through the AIRP process. Now, normally, if we offer a CRM integration, we like to do it by adding in a piece of software to the PhoneLink client. Sometimes that's not possible to do, and the way that we achieve the integration is actually by using a TAPI driver, and it's a TAPI driver that we've written ourselves. Now, there are two types of TAPI driver. The first is called a first party, and what that means is you install the TAPI driver on the user's PC, and what it will do is it will act as a bridge. So the end user will see a phone number on the application. They will click on it. The TAPI driver will intercept that call, pass it to the PhoneLink server, which in turn gets passed to the telephone system. It should also be noted that if all your customer is interested in is integration with the particular application, they're not interested in having the presence window or the call history window, the TAPI driver will actually work on its own without the PhoneLink client. The other example of the TAPI driver is what's called a third-party driver, and in that particular instance the driver is installed on the same server that the CRM or the application is running on. And again, what will happen is the user will see a particular phone number, they will click on it, the application will then generate the TAPI dial command, PhoneLink TAPI driver will intercept it, pass it to the server, which again will pass it to the telephone system. So what I'm now going to do is search for an application called Repeat. And you can see here it's confirming that the PhoneLink TAPI driver will need to be used, and the fact that it says client here means that it's the first party version of the TAPI driver that you need. Now, the other thing that's different from a traditional standard or controlled integration is that there is no listing of supported features. The reason for this is the TAPI driver acts purely as a bridge between, in this case, Repeat and the telephone system. The actual features and functions that you get when you make and receive telephone calls is actually controlled by, in this case, the Repeat application itself. So your end customers would need to speak to their Repeat reseller to find out what would happen. A final one that I'm going to look at is iCabby. So again, confirmation that it's the TAPI driver that's needed, but instead of saying client, it now says server. So this is the third-party TAPI driver that's required. But again, the features and functions come from the iCabby software itself, not from the PhoneLink software. Federation. We've touched upon, or I've mentioned, multiple sites. So I've got here an example of one site with its PBX, PhoneLink server, PhoneLink clients, and then a second site with a similar setup, its own PBX, its own PhoneLink server, and its own clients. And with Federation, what it's possible to do is to connect the two PhoneLink servers together. Now, because of the way in which the Ericsson LG PBXs work, what you should note is that the connection that's made happens at an extension level and not a user level. So what this means is that a user here, if they open their presence window and set it to users, they will see everybody else on their site, but nobody from the other site. If they change the presence view to extensions, they will not only see everyone on their site, but on the other site as well. So that's one of the differences that you'll notice with federation. The other thing is, if you want to have a chat with somebody using the PhoneLink software, chat only works at a user-to-user level. So a user on a particular site can chat with any other user on their site. They won't be able to have a chat with users on a different site. The final comment about federation is you can link up to 6 sites. If you want to go beyond that, please contact your Pragma account manager, because it may be possible to support more sites, but what we would need to do is have some more detailed information before we could definitely say yes or no in terms of it being able to work. And in order to federate sites, you will need what's called a federation license, and you'll need 1 license for every PhoneLink server in the federation. So, to finish off, just a quick summary of the benefits. So hopefully customers that are using the PhoneLink software will be more satisfied because we'll be able to reduce their call response times and allow them to handle the calls and the transferring of the calls in a more professional manner. And also make it a lot easier for individual users to identify and to return missed calls. It will also help with productivity and collaboration. So PhoneLink is very attractive to businesses where they've got a high number of inbound and outbound calls, to make it a lot easier to handle those calls. But because of the fact that we can do integration to CRMs and applications, it will allow them to squeeze just a little bit more functionality and leverage their investments that they've made into those particular pieces of software. Obviously, you've got the ability to search for contacts, to pop their details, and then also do click to dial, which is going to help from a productivity point of view. And finally, all staff, whether they're office-based or remote, will be able to see the availability of colleagues using the presence window. Now, I've mentioned previously there are 3 license types. The standard license is our entry-level product, but we like to think that it's still got a lot of features and functions. But what we've done is we've deliberately kept the price point of the standard client very, very low, in the hopes that it will be possible to bundle the standard client with every PBX sale. The other thing that you may wish to consider is to use the standard client to basically help demonstrate the phone system and also in turn demonstrate the PhoneLink's capabilities as well. The final comment is that PhoneLink software is not very demanding as far as hardware is concerned. So if you have a customer with a very, very small number of users, it may actually be possible to install the PhoneLink server on an existing PC server which is running other applications. This, combined with the fact that the PhoneLink client is also not very demanding, means that you'll be in a position where your end customers won't actually have to purchase any additional hardware in order to get the PhoneLink server up and running. Final comments that I will make is on software assurance. So customers that have got software assurance means that they are part of the subscription and support program. It means that if there are any major or minor upgrades to the PhoneLink software, they will have access to them. Once they've purchased the software, they have a 3-month window in which they can register the software. If they do, they will then receive 12 months complimentary software assurance. If they miss that 3-month window, or if once the 12 months software assurance has run out and they don't renew, please make sure that the customers are aware that they can renew their software assurance, but there will be additional fees. So for example, a reinstatement fee that may apply. Right. And that brings us to the end of the presentation.